Hey guys, welcome back. Unapologetic Atheist here with another video. Sorry I ain't upload yesterday, just got home after work and got a little bit busy, but being that it's Easter time, or some people call it Passover, a story that's been on my mind because at, at this exact time last year I was in church, going through the motions, feeling it and asking questions, when things wouldn't you know, make sense. Because like at some point I would just be in church. I would just go there. I would just go there to go there. I wouldn't really participate. I wouldn't really sing or do any of those all the stuff because it was just weird. Like I don't feel like singing. Don't feel like praying. Like this is weird. So, right, it came to Easter time, and we was doing the story about Moses and the 10 plagues and Egypt and everything, and how that became Passover and how that became Easter and everything, right? So when we was reading the text about the 10 plagues, one of the things that I noticed for the first time that I never noticed before was it said that God hardened Pharaoh's heart, right? And I'm like, kind of sounds weird. Why would God harden his heart? And then all these plagues still arose, right? So I basically asked, why did that happen? So the answer I got was, God hardened his heart because Pharaoh was already an evil man, and his heart was already hard towards God, and he had chose to harden his heart, right? And then God just completed it and already just finished making his heart, hardening his heart, right? That never made sense to me. It didn't, and I would keep asking more questions, but then I would be told like I'm not the only one that can ask questions, like, because we're on a limited amount of time. Like I have to save my questions for later, right? So and then later would come, I would never get the answer to my questions, right? So I go ahead and I do my own research about it and everything, and so and basically in Exodus 8, that's where God starts like most of the plagues, and it says that he hardens his heart, right? But the chapter prior to that, in chapter 7, this is when God is talking to Moses, he tells Moses he will harden his Pharaoh's heart, right? This is prior to they already telling us that Pharaoh's heart is hardened, because this is like God talking to Moses about going to Pharaoh, and like how he's gonna tell Pharaoh that he's going to ask Pharaoh to let his people go, but Pharaoh will refuse and he will harden his heart, right? So if we just stop and just look at that alone, right? So God is already telling Moses what's going to happen, right? So that means God already knows that Pharaoh will not want to let go of the Israelites, and that and he will also harden his heart so that he will not let them go, right? And the justification you get for this is because God wanted to showcase his glory. He wanted to show how powerful he is, right? So this almighty powerful God that created everything felt that he was threatened, right, by this Pharaoh character, because he was evil and everything. And they already in the Bible it tells you that he was evil, since he was this evil Pharaoh that was doing all these things, and that Egypt was in alliance with him. So him and Egypt must be destroyed according to what is evil according to God, right? So, and that they had enslaved his people for 400 years. But how did the people get enslaved for 400 years to begin with? It's because God let them become enslaved. God let them become enslaved, and then 400 years later, he's like, nah, okay, I'm tired. Yeah, I'm done letting y'all be enslaved. I'm going to bring you guys out, and the only way I'm going to do that is by destroying Pharaoh and Egypt and everything in it, by sending the 10 plagues, right? And if 10, this number 10, there are certain numbers that come up a lot in the Bible, these holy numbers, but if you really look at them, they're just numbers that we as humans are able to see them, and they're attractive, right? Like if you ever see that their multiples are very easy for a human to latch onto, like 5, 10s, and like stuff like that. So when they say there was 10 plagues, there was 10 commandments, there's 10 of everything for a reason, because 10 sounds nice and everybody can agree on, 10, the first 10 bill of rights, right? Stuff like that, right? So there was 10 plagues because God wanted to showcase how powerful and almighty he was, right? So what does that sound like to you? That sounds like, to me at least, somebody who's very jealous and very petty and very vindictive, I'm sorry, that towards something he created, right? So if we ask people why were we created, right? Apparently we were created to, serve God, right? That's it. So if that's what we were created for, right? A question I always wanted to know is, why did God give us free will then, right? If all he wanted us to do was worship him, why not just create us for that sole purpose? Why give us the ability to choose to worship him, and then if we don't choose to worship him, we then get punished for that? That's not a real choice, is that? You're not giving me a choice. You're giving me an obligation. You're saying, okay, I made you for this. And like, we are humans, we are living and breathing things. You cannot make a breathing thing a living thing, right? And then just be like, okay, I want you to do exactly what I want you to do. No, not especially not a human, right? Especially not the way we are designed this way. So because like apparently God designed us, and because he had a master plan for us, right? So why design us in this way why give us free will to begin with if you don't want us to exercise that free will to its full extent, right? But only use the free will to what you find acceptable. If you want to use that free will to something else, no, that's not acceptable. I'm sorry. So don't give me the option to choose to begin with, right? It goes back to the story of Adam and Eve in the garden, right? When you place that choice there, right? It's like you don't need to give us that choice to pick to just follow you or not, right? If you just create Adam and Eve, give them this garden of everything with just everything minus this tree of knowledge of good and evil, right? There's no way for them to be tempted. There's no way for them to even want to even find out what that is, because God, as the creator, creates everything. Why create this possible back end for us to be able to fall against you? Because like there's no sense in that. You're trying to create something that is perfect and something that is beautiful, but then you put this one little virus there that's just gonna explode everything if somebody presses it, right? You're setting everything up for failure, and you want everybody to see how good and how great you are and how amazing you are. But when we do look at what you are, right, that's not what we see, right? So when somebody tells you, because like a lot of the things in the Bible, what the Bible basically is God telling you, humans, what he is and what he did. Because if you just read the Bible, right, so apparently the first 5 books of the Bible are written by Moses, right? That's what I was taught, and as a kid, this is what they teach us in church. The first 5, I don't know how many people believe this, or how many, or where else is taught, but I do know in the Jewish faith, the Judeo-Christianic faith, they believe that Moses wrote the first 5 books of the Bible, being Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, right? So how is that possible that Moses, who is supposed to take the people of Egypt out of Exodus, right? Because out of Egypt, because that's why the name of Exodus even means to exit. You're leaving out of their being in confinement and enslavement. So he is supposed to leave with the people. He's the one that parts the Red Sea and gets all the 10 commandments, right? So I have asked, like, okay, if this person Moses have existed, why can't we see him? Like, where's his body? Where's any evidence of him? Because apparently at that time there were 1.2 million Israelites living in Israel, but then there's no evidence of them, right? So you're just saying that all the Egyptians just like wiped out all the evidence of the 1.2 million people that lived there for 400 years, Black people have lived in America for 400 years. There's no way you're wiping out anything of our history. You can't deny that we existed here. But you can, there is evidence that you can, say there's not a chance that the Israelites ever lived in Israel for 400 years being enslaved, right? But when you ask somebody, where is the body of Moses? The answer you get, according to the Bible, is that God had took him up because he was not, because when he broke the 10 Commandments, right after he receives the 10 Commandments, he sees that the Israelites are sinning and stuff, and he gets mad and breaks the 10 Commandments, and then God does not allow him to reach the promised land, right? So God just takes his body, right? But then the story just continues. If God takes Moses' body, how does Moses still writing the other 3 books? Because Exodus is only the 2nd book of the 5 Mosaic books. So even there, as a kid, that didn't make sense to me. But then when I sit back and look at it with logic, I'm like, bro, you really just sit here and just tell people this, and the only way they know that people will believe this is if they get you to believe this as a kid. Because if you come up to a grown person trying to tell them this nonsense, no grown adult with rational thinking is gonna believe any of this unless you've bred them up as a child to believe this. Because a child will believe anything you tell them until it's proven otherwise. And that's the case with most adults who don't, use rational thinking, unfortunately, right? So when the Bible tells you that, God is good and everything, that is God telling you that God is good, right? And me telling you I am good doesn't automatically make me good. What I do makes me good, right? And if the Bible is God's manifesto, because everything is his word, everything is inspired by him, right? Nothing is in the Bible without God's permission, right? So everything in there is there for a reason, right? But if we don't just take God's word for it, we don't believe that God is just good, and we just read the Bible and see what God does, right? Off the rip, God is not good. Off the rip, he's not good. Like, come on. Even in the first 5 chapters of his book, he's not good. And then we get down later, after the Israelites are released from Egypt, that's when they start going ham. They just start causing mayhem in this book. Because, this didn't happen in real life. So, because if it did, there would be documented evidence of this mayhem being done, right? You know what mayhem we do have documented being done by people who believe in this God and this Christianity and everything? The Crusades, right? I have been to church for 22 years of my life. I have never once heard them mention the Crusades. Never. It's like they never happened. I learned about the Crusades for probably 10 minutes in school. That's it, bro. They don't want to teach you what really happened. You have to learn these things yourself. And when I start, upgrading my setup and start making more in-depth videos, I want to start, doing showing you guys what I see what I find on the internet is what people are actually teaching other people out there, what they're actually preaching. I'm going to want to start showing you guys these things and reacting to them in a way so you can see that you can fight these lies, right? So, and I also want to show you what real life conversations I'm having with people, who I know or of these faith, and what they're actually telling me and what I'm actually being told to believe in, right? And one of these things, right, was when I told somebody to go do some research on something, right? I'm gonna give you guys the whole story in another video, but the gist of it is that the person told me something, and I was like, I believe you should go on YouTube and do more research on that thing you just told me. And the person just straight up just told me, no, I already know everything I need to know about this. I don't need to go on YouTube, right? And I was like, how do you know everything about something? And then the person never just responded, right? So then this person wanted me, right, to go to, they explained to me that there are people like me who have had questions and have never gotten answers, and she wants, and they have testimonies of how their lives have changed, right? And how they basically encountered God. And I'm like, word, they ask for God to come in their life, and they seen it. I'm like, I want to see this. Can you show me these people? And she told me to go on YouTube and find these people. I was like, there's no way people are out there not wanting to, learn and then still want to teach. You can't teach unless you know. Unless you learn, I'm sorry. If you don't want to learn, you should not be trying to teach. Leave that to the people who actually care about other people. You only care about making it to some magical place. And no matter what anybody tells me, that is your end goal. And, what they always say, the ends justify the means. Not in this case. I'm sorry. There is no end. The end is we're all going to die, and whatever we leave on this earth is what we leave. Right? It doesn't justify that. So we must stop pretending like there is something great and about these things and actually start caring about one another and trying to help one another. That's all I got for today, guys. I'm going to catch you on another one. Deuces.